Hi, everyone. Welcome to our presentation, Hosting Maker Days and Forging Collaborative Partnerships in Anticipation of an Academic Library Makerspace. Thank you for joining us. Can everybody hear us?
We're not going to be using video today, but what you should be seeing is our title slide. So if that looks good, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we got a lot of yeses. Okay, thank you.
I'm Tara Spies Smith, Research, Instruction, and Outreach Librarian. I'm the Art and Design, Communication Studies, and Anthropology Subject Librarian. And I'm involved with the maker culture on campus because of my art and design and anthropology subject areas.
And I'm Jessica McClean, Research, Instruction, and Outreach Librarian. I'm the subject librarian for chemistry, physics, engineering, and engineering technology, which are also subject areas that are doing research related to maker culture. We work at Alkek Library at Texas State University, which you can see in the background of this picture of us. Texas State has an enrollment of 38,694 students and is an emerging research university. Alkek Library is in the early stages of a major renovation project that will upgrade the first 4 floors of the library building. One of the new additions that will come as part of the renovation is a makerspace. To go along with these renovation plans, the Maker Day team was created in summer 2016 as part of the library promotions team. The team was made up of members from different areas of the library, and we were all volunteers who were interested in some kind of creative work. We didn't have any experience planning this kind of event, but we were all very excited for it to happen. Our task was to start planning for the first event in the fall of 2016. Maker Day seemed like a good opportunity to increase outreach to departments and researchers involved in maker culture, as well as another way to increase the number of special events we host throughout the semester. For the first event, we had 2 main goals. The first goal was to raise awareness of the library's 3D printing service and draw attention to some of our less used collections. The second goal was to start to position the library as a key stakeholder in the campus's maker culture. We did that by reaching out to faculty members who are interested in maker culture and building relationships with them. But it was also important that students start to think of the library as a place that they could come to create new things instead of just as a study or research space. Our team met during summer 2016 to start thinking about how the event would be set up. We wanted to keep the event as open and unrestricted as possible so attendees could have creative freedom. We planned to set up an informal area where students could drop in throughout the day with what we called project stations, organized by specific supplies or media. Team members suggested the project station themes based on their own areas of expertise and skills. We'll talk more about the specific stations in a later slide. I wrote up a budget proposal for $1,000 for startup costs, which went toward purchasing reusable technology kits, as well as a large amount of consumable materials and art supplies. Our team members also donated some of their own craft supplies. If you're also a crafty person or a maker of any kind, you can probably imagine that the most fun part of planning the event was spending an afternoon shopping at a craft supply store.
As part of the promotion for the first Maker Day event, we scheduled it during the university's Weeks of Welcome, which is the first 3 weeks of the fall semester. We did this to encourage new students to come to the library and to attend our event. Our marketing consisted of flyers that went all over campus, including in all the dorms, in departments, in common areas everywhere, and in the library. The first 3 pictures are the main flyers for each of our 3 events. We also created digital signage for inside the library and outside on Central Campus. We created a large-sized poster for our outside sandwich board, which gets a lot of attention. That's the 4th image, and it shows the workshop schedule. And of course, we promoted the event on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram accounts. This is our standard promotion routine that we use for all library events, and we added more promotion methods for our later Maker Day events. The first Maker Day event was located on the 4th floor near the computer lab, which also houses our 3D printers. Station tables were set up alongside the windows, and the space was on the open study floor. The event was all day, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it was drop in anytime to create. We had 5 project stations, including one for technology, with kits including snap circuits and a makey, yarn, where people were knitting and making friendship bracelets, beads, which was a very popular station, and paper and mixed media with bookmaking. I was showing people how to make an 8-page book out of 1 sheet of paper and a few other 1 sheet of paper formatted books. One of the other team members showed people how to make prints with ink. We also had a project board as pictured in the photo with handouts on how to do several different projects. We had 2 carts of library books on all different creative processes, including photography, bookmaking, origami, painting, science experiments, and other books with good design for inspiration.
For this first Maker Day, we weren't sure what to expect as far as attendance goes, but we found that our tables were full for most of the day and everyone seemed to be having a great time. The total attendance for the day was somewhere in the range of 125 to 185 people. Our assessment method this first time was pretty informal. We were just marking people on a paper, just hash marks. So we're not 100% sure of the actual attendance figures, but generally we thought the attendance was good and we were pretty happy with the turnout. Our team members talked with the attendees and we heard a lot of positive comments, mostly saying that they wanted to have events like this more often. And one person said she would be willing to pay to help us host more events. One cool outcome that we didn't plan for was the informal sharing of skills among our attendees. People would ask their neighbors for help with something, like how to properly iron perler beads, or someone would ask if, for example, anyone wanted to learn how to knit. Skill sharing is so important to building a maker community, so we definitely incorporated that more in our following events.
For our second Maker Day event, we scheduled it during finals in the spring and promoted it as stress relief. This time we started at 10 and went until 4. We located it in an alcove under our grand staircase that is normally our open theater, with seating and a large touchscreen monitor for presentations. The space is smaller than the space we used the first time, but it's in a high traffic area on the main floor. The project stations were the same: technology, yarn, beads, paper, mixed media, and the stations were stocked with leftover supplies from the first event. And we did have a budget of $100 for additional supplies that we spent on more paper and scissors, rubber stamps, and washi tape, all of which were used up during the first event. One of the team members did demos throughout the day on how to make books with single signatures and multiple signatures, and one of the other team members was showing people how to crochet.
Our assessment methods for the second event changed for the better thanks to our user experience librarian. We were able to capture both an hourly head count and the total number of attendees as they walked in. That total number was 37, which was quite a decrease from the first event, although keep in mind that those first numbers may not have been completely accurate. However, we could tell that the attendance was lower, and we think a lot of that difference is because the event was held right at the end of finals, when most students were either busy studying or had already left town. Our assessment also included a formal survey, which let us know more about the type of student who attended. Some of the most important findings from that survey were that the students considered crafting a good stress reliever, and that nearly all of the attendees said that they would like future events to include a formal instructional component, that they wanted to learn how to do something new. A new marketing technique we tried for the semester was setting out stacks of flyers on study tables throughout this finals period, and our assessment showed that many of our attendees heard about the event that way. And one last informal finding from this event was that we shouldn't use the phrase free art supplies on our flyers anymore, because we had one student who thought she would be able to take anything that wasn't used up at the end of the day. So we've changed that phrasing for future events to art supplies will be provided. Based on our findings from the second event, we decided that the weeks of welcome was the best time of the semester to host the third Maker Day. Unfortunately, that gave us a shorter planning period than we expected, but we were still able to organize the event as we wanted. Again, we planned for a variety of project stations, but our focus was on designing workshops that would allow attendees to learn new skills as they had indicated they wanted at the last event. As we began to plan, each member of our team came up with an idea for a workshop and then thought about a possible partner from outside the library. We have 7 team members, so initially we cast the net wide and reached out to all of those people and asked if they wanted to collaborate. We got some positive responses from faculty members, staff, and students. And those who were not able to commit to developing a workshop for this event were excited about the possibility of doing something else in the future. When we had some partners lined up, we narrowed down our options to 6 workshops, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Now that we were planning the third event, we thought that Maker Day was pretty well established as an ongoing series, so we also created a LibGuide that contained information about the workshops and links to relevant library resources. We'll keep updating this guide for future events.
For the third Maker Day event, we reserved a large conference room on the first floor of the library with presentation capabilities and a full kitchen attached. We had a lot more space for our project stations, including yarn and fibers, beads, paper, mixed media, including painting, and technology. And this time we also had a staff member from the computer lab who agreed to host a 3D printer project station. She's pictured in the photo with the 3D printer. It was all day from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., making it the longest event we had yet.
We structured the day's events around the workshop, and there were 6 workshops in total spread throughout the day. The first 3 workshops took place in the morning and were taught by members of our planning team. First at 9:30 a.m. was a single signature bookmaking workshop. Then at 10:15 was a session on the Snapseed photo editing app. And then at 11 was t-shirt crafts, which included a no-sew bag and the braided rug you can see in this picture. A side note on the t-shirts, the university's freshman orientation organizers donated a big box of t-shirts to us because they were left over and they couldn't be reused because it said class of 2020 on them. So keep that in mind as a possible source of materials. These first 3 workshops were informal drop-in sessions, and although our attendance was low in general during the first few hours of the day, these sessions were well received, and we continued teaching the skills informally throughout the day.
The last 3 workshops took place in the afternoon. At 12 noon, the staff member from the computer lab hosted a workshop on 3D printing. There were 10 attendees that came specifically for that workshop. The workshop lasted about an hour. At 1:30, one of our student workers, who is a microbiology major and also an art student and an awesome artist, collaborated with me on a painting workshop about value. As you can see in the photo, we chose a color and mixed it with black and then white to create a value scale of that color. We had 5 attendees, but the painting and mixed media table was full of other event attendees at the same time. The workshop attendees really enjoyed the exercise, and as soon as we finished it, they began applying the technique in their free-form painting. The last workshop of the day was the only one that had registration. It was a coding workshop called Starting from Scratch, Storytelling and Art Making with Computer Programming, which was taught by an art and design faculty member, Sean Justice, who collaborated with me to host the workshop. Scratch is a free programming language from MIT and online network where people create games, interactive stories, and animations. Part of our job as research instruction and outreach librarians is to outreach to faculty to support their research. So this was a great opportunity to work with a faculty member on a project related to his area of research. He teaches these workshops to gather data for his research on maker culture. He recently published a book titled Learning to Teach in the Digital Age, New Materialities and Maker Paradigms in Schools.
Our assessment method this time was the same as in the spring, so we can more accurately compare the two. And the total number of attendees was 85, which is a big increase from the last event. The time of year in the fall seems to be popular, but the new location may have been harder to find. We think this will improve if we can continue to use this space for future events. Again, we got a lot of positive feedback from our attendees. They enjoyed the workshops and gave us lots of ideas for future topics that would be of interest. A comment we heard from several attendees was that they wanted to meet regularly for creative activities at, for example, a painting club or a coding club. This is probably beyond the scope of our Maker Day team, but it may be something that could eventually happen in the Makerspace. We also discovered that several of our attendees came as part of a class assignment, most of them from the required orientation course for freshmen or from a PR-related journalism course. Those students also provided more marketing for us as part of their assignment. The picture here is of one of those journalism students who needed a picture of herself at the event, and she's holding the curtain that she sewed for her dorm room. She spent several hours with us and left with a lot of cool stuff to decorate her room. So as we're thinking about where we go next with the Maker Day, here are some of our next steps. Now we've done 3 events, we want to try to establish a routine schedule of early fall semester and late spring semester and a fixed location so that Maker Day becomes a familiar occurrence on the library calendar. We think the location we use for the 3rd event would be good going forward, partly because of the size and the kitchen attached, but also because it's adjacent to the proposed location of the Makerspace. We hope that this will also help us continue to increase attendance. The workshops are well received, so we'll keep working on new topics and reaching out to new collaborators across campus. And we will continue to use our budget to build the library's collection of tools, books, and resources that can transition into the Makerspace.
On the Makerspace side, the library has hosted brainstorming sessions with faculty and staff from different departments all over campus to determine what should go in our future Makerspace and how it might be staffed, organized, and run. And we're always aware that when our Makerspace is open, it will offer programming and services like our event. so Maker Day will eventually be merged with those new initiatives. Our growth efforts over the next few years will need to keep that in mind to ease that eventual transition. Thank you. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Do you all have any questions?
I see a couple of questions already in the chat, so I'll go ahead and go through those. Please keep sending them if you have them. The first question was, how do you deal with competing activities around the beginning of the semester / school year? The Weeks of Welcome is the first 3 weeks of the semester. So we actually chose to host the event in the 3rd week of the semester. So that really kind of missed most of the beginning of the semester rush, but was also included in the Weeks of Welcome. So we got that boost of marketing there too. Okay. Second question, was this open to the public or students only?
Open to everyone.
It was open to everyone. We didn't limit it to anyone at all. We did have mostly students. We also had some faculty members. I'm also going to skip back to one of our slides to show you a picture. In this picture right here, you can see there's a little girl who just showed up for our second Maker Day, and she stayed for a while and talked everyone's ear off, and it was really a lot of fun. She had a lot of fun with the perler beads too. There was another question. How did you get faculty buy-in to get them to require it in their classes? It wasn't actually required for them to attend this specific event. They had to choose an event on campus to attend. The PR students then had to write up some promotion on their social media for it. So fortunately, they chose us because they were excited to come, and also they were able to promote it for us as well. But we have been working with some faculty members who do promote it in their classes to their students. How many librarians do you have? On our team, it's 7 members, which is 3 librarians and 1 specialist, and no, 4 librarians, 1 library specialist, 2 library assistants. Total librarians, we have 32, I think, here throughout all of the different departments. Do you have ideas about scalability? We have a total of 4 librarians. I think it's important to kind of think about the size of your library and what kind of attendance you usually get events. I think for this event, it's on par with our bigger events. So the smaller space you can see in this picture for our second event, it just was too small. So keeping space in mind and thinking about kind of going one step further each time in increasing the size, that's really the best answer I have for that. Let's see, there's other questions.
When will your space open?
When will our Makerspace open? The construction has not started yet, but I think it's going to be within the next few years that those renovation projects will actually begin. The sewing machines are definitely intriguing to me for an idea to our spaces. Do you find them noisy or disruptive to the event?
They're not noisy. They're pretty quiet. I mean, there's people talking and people explaining things to each other, and there's just a lot of action going on, so they don't interfere with what's going on.
And actually for our third event, the room is kind of a long and thin room. So we had the sewing machines and 3D printer at one end, which were kind of the slightly noisier equipment. And then toward the other end was the quieter paper and mixed media. That's also where we had some of our workshops, so that they would be at least away from the slightly noisier equipment. Okay, how would you begin to implement Makerspaces year-round? How do you keep it fresh? As far as like increasing the number of events throughout the semester, we've had some ideas about kind of themed events, whether that would be kind of tied to end of the semester, you know, spruce up your final project, allowing people to make posters or something like that for their presentations. Our second event was right around Mother's Day, so people came in and were making cards and gifts and stuff for their mothers.
And we promoted it that way on social media.
We did promote it that way. And just other things that we can kind of focus in on. So